recording this. Make sure you pop in if you have any questions or anything. If you don't want to talk, but you want to just hit the chat button on the bottom, you can chat in that way, and that way I can see your questions as I'm going through this. So today we're going to be discussing, I showed on here, deconstructing cravings. So we're talking mostly about food cravings, right? Now I have to figure out how to go through my slideshow. Boy. So this is, just so you know what I'm doing, this is a slideshow that I get through Cinduit. So Cinduit is a marketing campaign thing that you can use. So once you're actually making money with doTERRA, maybe think about doing something like Cinduit. It's amazing to be able to do this kind of thing. So I start sharing. I just have to figure out how to coordinate with Zoom. I did this before. Now all of a sudden I'm like blinking out. Okay. Slideshow. There we go. Okay. So here we go. So we're going to talk today about deconstructing those cravings. So we all know that we have tons and tons of cravings, and I lost the beginning part of this. There it is. Reading through it. Okay. So, I just like to educate you guys on using essential oils and other health topics. So we will discuss a lot of different health topics, in conjunction with essential oils and even some other things, because I do so much research in the health field. I've been in the health field for 25 years, researching various things, and I'll tell you the things that I know, that I've learned throughout that process. And remember, when we're talking about health things, no matter what somebody tells you, we don't know 100% of anything. I mean, what we know is our best guess, our educated guess is based on studies, based on observation, research and things. But research constantly changes, and I'm sure you've all seen this, because how many times have we heard coffee's bad for you? No, coffee's good for you. No, it's bad for you if you have too much. Well, it's actually good for you if you don't have like 10 cups a day. Oh, well, maybe 2 cups a day is bad. It just goes back and forth. I don't even know what to believe there. I mean, coffee is just a big mystery to me. So I drink tea now, because I don't have to deal with it. I don't care. Whatever's going on with coffee, I'm not going to get involved. So. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough here. I've been taking my On Guard, so wish me luck on getting over that quickly. So what I want to do is kind of get us to identify and deconstruct our food cravings so that we can figure out what we crave and why we crave it. So if you have any questions during this time, I want you guys to go ahead and just hit your chat button so I can see that you've asked me a question, or speak up. Feel free to speak. This is a live event. There's not too many of us today, and I want your input and I want your questions. So feel free to interrupt me at any time. So one of the things we want to remember is, we all have food cravings. I'm sure everybody here has had food cravings at one time or another throughout your life, right? And your body, basically your body doesn't make mistakes. You don't need to remind your body that you're supposed to breathe, or that you pump the blood, maintain the temperature, or heal yourself. Our body, these are automatic processes within our body, right? So when we look at the cravings that we have, we think that is it a weakness we have it? Is it a lack of self-control? Or is our body actually saying something to us? Is it saying, hey, you need this, or I need this? Your body is telling you something, right? So we know that these are important messages. It's telling your body that you have an imbalance. So one imbalance you have is it's time to eat, right? That's your simple one. So at various times of the day, your body tells you, look, go eat something. I need something. I need nutrients. I need fuel, because I'm trying to function here and you're awake and I want fuel. So that's what our body's telling us. So now when your body tells you you want a certain thing, so you go out in the kitchen, and you look around and you're like, oh, I really would love this today. Your body is telling you something when you are picking something in particular, right? So what we want to do is remember that the whatever your craving is, there's a root the root of your craving is one of some primary causes are dehydration. So you crave water, right? Your lifestyle, you're craving something because your lifestyle, you're craving something because your ancestry. So this is just your genetic code that's in there. It makes you more prone to crave certain things, right? Seasonally, we'll crave various things seasonally. If we have a lack of nutrients in our body, we're going to start craving things that contain those nutrients, or we'll make our bodies believe that we're getting those nutrients. Hormones can make us crave various things, and sometimes, this is the worst one, of course, we crave things and it's self-sabotaging. So I'm going to talk about each of these different things. So one of the things that we discussed first is hydration. Okay, that is probably the most important thing. We have to have proper hydration. Water is needed for all the cells in your body to operate at peak efficiency. All of our body functions require water. We're mostly water. And we lose water, of course. When we breathe, we lose water. When we sweat, we lose water. When we digest our food, we're losing water, right? And we don't get a signal that we are thirsty. When you get that signal that you're thirsty, you're already 2% dehydrated. So you've already entered the dehydration phase. You have not, your body doesn't tell you I'm thirsty before you're reaching that stage. And once you're 2% dehydrated, your body goes into this tailspin because now your body's confused because it's not getting the water that it needs. And dehydration, sometimes you can perceive it as mild hunger. So sometimes when you're craving some food and you're thinking, you're hungry, just go get some water. Maybe you're just thirsty and your body's just miscommunicating that signal. So you don't necessarily need to eat. So it's not one of your meal times and you don't really need anything. Think about reaching for some water or maybe a piece of fruit that has a lot of water in it, right? And that way you can avoid overeating because of that. Because that's just a misunderstanding between you and your body. So we don't want to have those misunderstandings, right? When you are looking at your life, look at your life as a whole. So let's say you have a good diet in general, let's say, okay, but you're always in a high stress state, then your body will still be compromised because of the high stress and the burden that that puts on your body. So you want to look for, when you're looking for satisfaction in your life, you want to find satisfaction without always turning to food for your satisfaction. So a lot of times if you're feeling depressed, what do? Get out the ice cream, start putting on the ice cream, get out the chocolate. Those are our, comfort foods. We reach for our comfort foods because we're stressed, right? So we want to keep our bodies not feeling that stress, deal with stress more effectively on a physical basis so that we won't have those hunger pains, right? So some of the things that you want to ask yourself then is, are there areas in your life that aren't fulfilling? Can you do anything to change that? Look at your direction. It's nice that we have doTERRA because with what we're doing right now, we have a group of people. We all have direction. We're all trying to share oils and things like that. And we're all trying to learn. So even if you're not selling the oils and you're not in it as a business, you're still trying to utilize the oils to get your best health. You're probably sharing them with your friends and you're enjoying the fact that there's so much to learn. I mean, this is a great thing to keep you motivated. There's always more to learn. No matter how much we think we know, there's a lot more to learn. And so we have goals. We have something we're trying to attain, which is to get more knowledge, right? So that's great for us that we have that. And I hope that everybody in my group understands that everybody's important. This group is important. It's important to me. It's important to my financial future. It's important because I want to see you guys have independence in your financial futures. And I love what we do. I'm so glad that I'm not forced to work for some industry that I hate. I just cannot imagine being an employee of something like the tobacco industry. It would be horrible. I mean, you're doing something bad. So that would be a horrible job to have. I love what we do because we get to feel good about what we do. We love it. We enjoy it ourselves and we get to share it with other people who hopefully share the same passion that we do. So some of the things that you want to remember is our ancestry does affect our health today. So the food that was readily available to them, it kind of gets passed down the family tree. So what we see, you see foods that you used in childhood and you always seem to love it. You still love those foods today, the ones that you loved as a child. Things that you found that you use in your ancestry, things that your ancestors ate. You eat the same kinds of things. You're going to crave those same types of things. And that makes sense and that all has to goes back to, was it exogenesis or something like that, where, things that have happened in our past, even in our parents' past, do affect the DNA in our body. It does affect our code, which is going to affect everything we do. That's why we're all so unbelievably different, right? So we also have things that are positive associations. So obviously, one of the problems we have as adults, it's kind of brutal, is that when we were kids, most of us were pretty thin. And so we could eat whatever we wanted. We ate our ice cream. We got to indulge in all these things. And a lot of these became comfort foods. You know, you're feeling sad. Oh, you can have some ice cream. And a lot of parents would give you ice cream if you feel sad, get you some candy. Oh, you're sad, you're crying. Oh, here, have a lollipop, you know, things like that. Unfortunately, we carry this now into our adulthood where those are still our comfort foods because they made us, that's what we used before to make us feel good, right? So now we want to do is kind of recreate these cravings, but with healthier alternatives, right? Okay, so what we want to remember is we have a seasonal craving. So certain times of the year, we will crave certain types of foods. So some of the times some of the things we like are like summer. We tend to like cooling things like raw vegetables, ice cream. Those are summer treats that we enjoy more in the summer. Makes sense. We're hot, right? In the spring, we tend to usually go towards detoxifying type foods, and that would be your salad, your citrus fruits, which is great. They're growing, right? In the spring, they're growing on your trees and everything, so we have access to them. And in the fall, we usually like grounding foods, more like squash and the nuts. And in the winter, we like the hot, fatty foods, like the meat, and the oil, and hot cocoa, and things like that. That's what we crave in the winter because we're trying to warm ourselves up. And, you know, as we talk about this, you realize, yeah, there are other ways to warm yourself up. So if you're feeling like you're craving, you know, some bad for you foods because of the way your body is, like if you are craving something warm and maybe not so good for you, then you can look at either alternatives, other warm foods, or you can use an essential oil to warm your body, something like cardamom, which just kind of has a general warming effect on the body, right? So you can use something like that. And I'll tell you, I use oils like crazy in the different seasons. So it tends to be where I am is mostly hot, and I like warm weather, so that's great for me. But sometimes it gets too hot, and I get out my peppermint oil to help cool my body. And if I'm cold, then I need to use some, you know, cardamom, or I'll use marjoram or something that'll help, you know, get my circulation going. Because if I get too cold, my body just likes to sit there because it's too cold to do anything. And since most of you guys are on the East Coast, I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of that. So when you get that, you know, when you're getting cold, you want to get your body to feel warm. And a lot of times clothing, it doesn't matter what you do clothes-wise, you're trying to warm up on the insides. A hot shower will do it, and that'll warm your body for probably an hour before you start to feel that cooling down effect again. But the oils can also do it, which is certainly easier than a hot shower. So you also have these crazy cravings, right? So we got our communication with our bodies here with our cravings. We talked about why we crave things, right? And, you know, you can see this. I mean, obviously, this is something I would say she's probably outside. It's cold, and maybe she's craving some coffee or hot cocoa, and that makes sense. She's trying to warm up her body. And we can do that with essential oils. We can do it with warmer clothes, or we can do it with food. And so not necessarily that food is the answer. We want to drink our water regularly. And make sure that you keep drinking your water, guys. I've been using this. I don't know if you can see me because I can't see me, but I've been using these glass bottles with the rubber on the outside. And I've been trying to remind myself that I have to drink at least 2 of those a day, even if I just sip on it throughout the day. It's very important that we remember that. Now we have our crazy cravings, and caffeine is a big one. Who craves caffeine in the morning?
Not me.
Most people do, so you're lucky if you don't. But what happens is your body actually craves caffeine when you're not getting enough energy from nutritional sources, which is why we crave caffeine in the morning, because we probably haven't eaten yet. So we really could just go ahead and get some of our foods. If we just went ahead and had our breakfast, we wouldn't crave so much caffeine. So a lot of people overindulge in the morning. They'll have 3-4 cups of coffee before having a meal. And that might not be such a good idea. Maybe they should taper down their coffee and eat their breakfast a little bit earlier. Might be a good idea. And it just has to be a light breakfast. Your body just needs some fuel to get going. And if it doesn't have the fuel, you're going to crave caffeine. So we want to figure out what's missing when we run into these issues, right? When our bodies are craving something, because I'm sure you also go through the thing where you go into the kitchen, you look around, you open the refrigerator, you open the cabinet, and you're craving something, and you just can't figure out what it is. Say, I want something. My body is telling me I need something. So I assume everybody here has done that. I do that often. I walk out in the kitchen, and I just can't figure out. I know I'm hungry. I know I want something. I'm not terribly hungry, but my body's craving something. And I am on the search to try to find out what it is, and I'll look at something like, yeah, yeah, I don't really want that. No, tortilla, no, I don't really feel like a tortilla. Chips, no, I don't feel like chips. I don't know, I'm just craving something, and trying to figure out what that is sometimes is very difficult. And sometimes you'll eat a few foods on your way to try to get there, to try to figure out what your body really needs. I'll eat something, I'll eat a little bit of it, and I'll be like, I get like halfway through it, and then I'm like, well, yeah, this isn't what I want. And then I have to go look for something else. And we've all been trained to kind of finish our food. So then I finish the food that I didn't really need because it's sitting there on my plate, so I'm going to finish it. And that's unfortunately a bad habit that we probably all have. So you want to remember some of the other things that we have in our bodies that tell us, what we're craving are your hormones. So you have these hormones, and these are your chemical messengers, and they play a major role in some of the most important body functions. So we have over 50 types of hormones in our body. And when they're in balance, then your body can really thrive, right? But if you are severely deficient in any hormone, your body can go completely out of whack. And your body can be tricked by that. So hormonal cravings are kind of weird because hormonal cravings can actually make you crave a food that you've never liked before. So it really, really can throw you off balance. Now we also have, so there's our wacky hormones, and we also have self-sabotage. So this is the one we're always worried about, right? So this is our self-sabotage syndrome. And it means that like when things are going well, we crave things that send us into an imbalance. And then the first craving will create another in response to balance out the first one. And you see it a lot with sugar, right? So what we have is when you have low blood sugar, and maybe a combination of other things that we already discussed. So let's say we have low blood sugar, we're craving our sugar, so we go and we grab some chocolate, and of course we have a piece of chocolate, and it sends a signal to our body, and our body reacts to that pretty quickly. And of course then we crave another piece of chocolate because we're trying to put our body back in balance, but we've imbalanced our body by throwing some sugar in there. Does that make sense? So if we want to be, if we want to not get into that self-sabotage cycle, then we need to be hydrated. We need to be, nourished emotionally, feel good about ourselves and everything, and nutritionally balanced at the beginning. So if you are nutritionally balanced, you will not crave these things. So one of the biggest problems we have with diets, if you give up foods and you give up your meals, then what happens is you break even more often into these bad situations. So you end up craving those bad foods at night because you've been kind of starving yourself during the day. Your body needs something. And instead of eating a nice healthy food, you're then reaching for your candy, your chocolate, your ice cream, because your body needs something. It needs fuel. So you don't want to just skip meals. You want to have something. If you're trying to diet, have something. Have a light meal, but have something so your body is constantly fueled and doesn't go into this tailspin of I need something, and then it has sugar. And then when you do that and you eat a lot of sugar at night, then you wake up in the morning and your body is still in balance. Your body doesn't rebalance at night because you had all that sugar at night. So then you're starting over with the whole problem all over again. So there we go on that. So what we want to do is we want to bring in the good. So if there's no room for bad, right, then we're not going to have bad stuff. So let's bring in the good stuff. So as we add healthy foods, we'll stop those counterproductive cravings that we get. So keep bringing in healthy foods, and don't try to do it all at once. That's just it's kind of, I'm going to say it's just hard. When we see people make global changes like that, it's really hard to stick to that. Change one thing at a time. And if you have some chips in the afternoon and you overindulge in the chips, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a few chips, but a lot of times, that bag is pretty big. So you can really go through an entire bag of chips pretty easily. And maybe just have a few chips and then reach for something like an apple, a piece of fruit, or something like that. And you'd be surprised. A lot of times that will put your body back in balance, and your body's happy, even though you didn't have the chips that, at the beginning, you're thinking, oh, chips, that would be awesome. Like right now, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I'm hungry and chips sound really good. But if I were to go eat an apple, then I'm going to get rid of that craving for those chips because the apple's going to take that spot. So if I can just make that good decision, before I start. So we all have different cravings, and they fall into categories. So our categories of cravings are sweet, salty, bitter, pungent, spicy, creamy, crunchy, moist, dry, and then we have a craving for either light foods or heavy foods. So sugar cravings, remember, are just your body saying, I need energy. And the quickest source of energy is sugar. But ideally, if you can get that from some other source besides those sweets, then we can still satisfy that craving. And there's a lot of sweet vegetables, a lot of sweet fruits that we can eat. So try reaching for those instead. Now, when you're digested, sugar turns into fuel, and that fuel is glucose, right? And the rate that it converts is dependent on the kind of sugar that you consumed. So when you have white refined sugar, that's going to act differently in your body as opposed to, let's say, a nutrient dense vegetable, sweet vegetable or something like corn or something like that, right? When you have these cravings, it's really important that you feed your body the sugar that's going to digest slowly and pair it with some fiber as well. So, some ingredient, some things that would do that is going to be your sweet potatoes, right? Carrots, beet, winter squash. So try those and see if that will take, like if you're craving cake or cookies, and see if you use those instead, if you solve the issue. And maybe keep notes of this. If you can start writing down some notes of this, if you're trying to do something like this, instead of going to that cake, try eating one of these vegetables and figure out, does that get rid of that craving for the cake? And winter squash, I love winter squash. I think I could eat that anytime and probably solve a lot of my cravings. Now we have salty, right? So when we crave salty foods, so unfortunately, when we think of salty foods, what do you guys think of? What is the first thing you run to if you're just craving salt and you want to grab something to solve that problem? Chips. Yep, those nasty chips, because those are one of the worst things for us, because they are, if we're trying to lose weight, they are somewhat fattening. They do give us a lot of salt, but we eat them. They're kind of like almost empty calories in a way, really. And so we want to try to find something to use instead of that, because a lot of times we're just needing salt. So you can, instead of going for that salty food, you can just do roasted vegetables and just put a lot of salt on them. There's nothing wrong with salt. And I know, unless you have high blood pressure and you need to be on a low salt diet, eating high salt foods is not going to hurt you. It's not going to cause you to get high blood pressure. It's not that kind of correlation. So it's interesting, because I just watched something today on the Dr. Oz show, and a gentleman came on there that they've done research and found that a lot of people are eating too little salt, because you see at the store, a lot of our stuff is low salt, low salt, low salt. And there's a lot of people that are having trouble getting enough salt. So unless you already have a problem with salt, you don't want to underdo it either. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to go crazy with it, but you do need a certain amount of salt to keep your body in balance. And a lot of people are depriving themselves of that, thinking that they will avoid other problems, or thinking that it's going to exacerbate problems that they may have.
I was told to use Himalayan pink salt.
Yep.
Himalayan pink salt. My chiropractor recommended that, and I've been using that. So far, so good.
Oh, good.
I do have blood pressure, and that actually balanced it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still, this whole thing with high blood pressure and salt. It's interesting, because I went to a doctor a long time ago, and I have really low blood pressure, and he said, you should eat more salt. I'm like, really? Does it work like that? So if I eat more salt, it'll raise my blood pressure? He said, well, I don't know. It just makes sense. I'm like, no, actually it didn't. You don't cause high blood pressure by eating a lot of salt. That's not why people have high blood pressure. So we just know that if you have high blood pressure already, salt can be a problem, but it isn't necessarily a problem, and it's certainly not in a normal amount. It's not like you have to avoid it completely. Enjoy your salt already, right? And find good sources of salt. Himalayan Himalayan pink salt is excellent, because it's just another source of salt that has some other things in it that makes it a little bit better than your standard table salt, right? That's a good one. And then some of the other things, baked kale actually is a really good, when you're craving salt, you'd be amazed at what you'll eat, by the way. When you're craving salt, you'll eat just about anything that has salt on it. Tennis shoe with salt on it, whatever, you'll eat it. So just, that's your chance to try something you maybe are afraid to try or would think you wouldn't like kale. Who likes kale? It it sounds terrible, but actually baked kale is actually really good with salt all over it. Oh my gosh, it's great. So you start looking for those things that are going to be healthier options. So I don't know if you guys know how to make baked kale chips, but if you just take kale and I just tear it up into pieces and I take out the stems. I don't want the stems. And then you use a sea salt, like the Himalayan pink salt is a good one too, and a little bit of olive oil, and you just bake it. So you're not deep frying it, you're baking it at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes until the edges, they'll start to get a little brown. And if you flip them halfway through, sometimes they bake a little bit better. But you should try that. Try baking some kale chips, because we all know that kale is a good option for us, right? And that would help our salt cravings, right? And it also solves part of this problem, which is our greens. And I would lay odds that most people don't get enough greens. It's hard. It's hard to get out your vegetables, and a lot of times we will in salad, but that's only going to be once a day, and we're not going to find greens during the day. Now, a lot of greens can be very bitter. So when we crave bitter foods, and I don't know if I ever crave bitter foods, but when you crave bitter foods, it does represent digestive issues, because bitter foods actually help your digestive system. So when I think of bitter foods, I think of things like Brussels sprouts, especially if you don't cook them a lot. They're very bitter. What are some other bitter foods?
Turnips.
Turnips. There you go. Yep. So look at those. So healthy bitter foods, your dark leafy greens, of course, mustard greens, arugula, kale, collards. Turnips are actually very healthy too. They're not a green food, but they're actually very healthy. But all these foods will naturally help to eliminate blockages in the digestive tract. So we do get a lot of digestive issues, and a lot of them we don't even notice, or it might just be a mild stomach upset, or just something feels off. Your system inside is kind of weird, and you're just not feeling quite yourself. A lot of times that is just a little blockage in your digestive tract, and a lot of times just eating a few, the right foods can just kind of get that blockage out of there. And that combined with like lemon essential oil, which really helps clean the insides of your intestines, great combination. You can take these green vegetables, maybe throw some salt and some lemon on them, so they taste good, right? And eat it that way, or go if you feel like going for some of that balsamic vinaigrette type of thing. Those kind of dressings are really a great way to dress up your more bitter greens. And it's funny because a lot of people that crave bitter, they usually go for coffee, which is not your best choice, because what they really need are a bitter vegetable, not the coffee. Coffee really doesn't have a whole lot of anything for them in it. So they probably should reach for something else. Now we got our hot stuff. So we got our peppers, right? Now, these produce what we call a dry heat, and they help with digestion. And so these cravings, a lot of times people will crave like Chinese food. You'll go out and get some hot, spicy Chinese food or something like that. And a lot of the ingredients are very pungent, very strong. But you can also fulfill that kind of craving with things like scallions, onions, leeks, garlic, and then spices like cayenne, instead of the like overly salted, high-calorie takeout meals like Panda Express, right? If you're craving something like that, you want your kung pao chicken or something like that. So sometimes you want those because you're craving that heat for probably for digestive issues. You can go for some of these better products for you. One of the other things that I notice with other research I've done is people that eat spicy foods regularly actually live longer. They have found a correlation. We don't know causation, but correlation right now is that they do tend to live longer. So does that cause that? We don't know, but it's something to think about if you're trying to incorporate some spicy foods into your diet. Then you've got your actual spicy foods. So spice cravings. So when you crave something spicy, a lot of times you have poor circulation, and that's why your body is craving that. Now, it's not that we don't eat these things, other times just because we want something different, but when you're actually craving something and you're like, yeah, I'm craving something really spicy today, a lot of times it's your body that is just telling you, look, get it going. I'm not, I feel sluggish, and you want to spice it up to get your circulation going. You can do that with essential oils also, like lemongrass, marjoram are really great for stimulating circulation. But then you want to look at some of the foods that you can eat. So a lot of times when you want spicy foods, you're thinking you want tacos, or you want pizza with hot peppers, or you want hot chicken wings or something like that. And those those foods a lot of times can do more harm than good because they can make the heartburn worse. They can cause skin irritation and disrupt your digestive system. So instead, you want to have natural spices when you cook at home, and you can add these to things like chicken or something like that. But you can just add some things that have a warming effect on the body, and those would be your onions, garlic, oregano, basil, cayenne, cardamom. Cardamom's used in cooking. I don't know if anybody's ever used cardamom in cooking. Cardamom surprised me. That is one oil that really surprised me in the way that it tastes and smells, because it's not at all what I thought it was. I like the smell of it. It's unusual. It almost has a fruity smell to me. I know it's not a fruit oil, but it does smell like that to me. So the other thing is the way your mouth feels and the way food affects the inside of your mouth is also sometimes what you can crave. So sometimes you crave creamy stuff. So creamy cravings are often a sign that you're eating too many dry foods, like too much bread and baked products. And then you'll start craving creamy things. Crunchy cravings is a lot of times trying to balance out milk or oily foods in your diet. If you have too much milk in your diet, then you're going to crave something that's more crunchy. So that will give you hints to what your body is craving. If you're craving, start taking kind of note of when you're craving something and see if you can figure out, you can go back through this and kind of figure out what system of my body is telling me something. When you have an actual craving, not just, I went to the kitchen, I just am hungry, I'm going to go find something to eat. But when you actually have a craving for a certain item, like, there's days when I have to say, like when you're younger in college and stuff like that, and you're drinking beer, for some reason you always crave things like pizza, right? So it's probably telling you something. It's probably part of the dehydration effect. And then you crave the pizza and the garlic. These are the things that you crave when you're drinking. So I bet you it's something that has to do with balancing it out. And then when you crave moist foods, so there's your other one, moist or dry foods, right? So if you're craving moist food, it's counterbalancing too many dry products. So you might even be dehydrated. And we know when we're dehydrated, we crave moist foods. Of course we do, because we need to get that moisture back into our bodies. Sometimes when you want crispy or dry foods, then maybe it's because you drank too much. So, if you're drinking a lot of water and then you get kind of waterlogged, then you're going to start craving your drier foods. So what you want to do is, if you want to have, some healthy dry foods, when you're really craving dry foods, you will probably reach for something as boring as rice snacks. The rice cakes and stuff like that. Those are light, dry snacks that you can have. You can put salt on them. You can spread jelly on them if you want to make them more appetizing. But a lot of times when you're craving something, a dry food, you'll be willing to reach for something like that. And, when I tell you about these things now, you're probably thinking, yeah, that sounds really nasty because it's a rice cake. It's kind of boring. But you'd be surprised when you are craving something just dry. Sometimes you'll just reach for bread. I mean, like sometimes when I just want something dry and I just feel like I need some dry foods, I'll just reach for a loaf of bread and start snibbling some bread, which is terribly unhealthy. So not the best way to go there. We want to find some other, sources of dry foods that would be much better for us. Now, the other thing we think about is sometimes we'll go in the kitchen, we're like, I just want a light meal. Or sometimes it's like, I need a meal, I need a man's meal here. So sometimes you're craving light foods or heavy foods. And that also is your body telling you something. So if you're eating a lot of raw or cold foods, it's very likely that you'll start craving warm, heavier foods like meat. So, and this is probably one that I definitely could see myself having trouble with. So I love sushi. But sushi does not stay with you very long. And after I eat sushi, a couple hours later, I am craving a real meal, like meats, potatoes. I want some nice heavy foods. So that does tell you, that that does cause your body to kind of crave those things later. So when you go sushi, all of a sudden you're wanting something, you're craving for your heavy meals. And same thing, if you have a heavy meal, obviously you're not going to crave a heavy meal after a heavy meal. You usually start craving a lighter meal. So that is something your body is telling you. Now, when you forbid yourself from a certain food, it can actually cause your cravings to get worse. But if you always give in to your cravings, it can cause miscommunication in what your body needs. So you look at the different things, like the cravings you have that you think are sabotaging yourself. So, for me, I would say For some reason at night, I crave chocolate, which is even worse because it's chocolate and it keeps me up. But I crave chocolate at night. If I can get through that for a couple nights, I won't crave it for a while. So I do try to find some alternatives to that. So figuring out what your cravings are that are consistent, and then figuring out a way to make that craving not happen by figuring out what your body's really telling you. So if you're craving chips, then you might be just craving a light snack and you're craving some salt. That's why you're reaching for chips, and see if you can find something instead of those chips, maybe just some other salty substance that is going to serve that need to your body, like the kale chips or something like that. So your body is, one of the things we know with essential oils, with health, and, every doctor's going to say the same thing. Your body wants to be in balance. It's just we don't know what our body's trying to tell us, and we have to pay attention to what our body's telling us and not misinterpret those signals. So if my body's telling me I need energy, I need to not reach for that instant energy and go grab a piece of chocolate, and maybe think, well, if my body wants energy, maybe it's time to sit down and have some food. Maybe it's, cook up a vegetable or something like that, or reach for something, even just a hard-boiled egg or something. A lot of times, I just crave a hard-boiled egg. I don't know why, just do. So that's my body telling me it needs some, that it needs some proteins. It just needs something. And that, when you're craving eggs, a lot of times you're craving proteins. Now, some of the research I did in relation to this, so we're going to deconstruct cravings, and now I'm just going to talk to you because I did some more further research in this area, because I wanted to share with you some of the uses for oils to help you with your cravings, right? So what oils, what cravings are bad for you. You know what cravings are probably counterproductive. Certainly cravings that make you crave more things is counterproductive, because now you've eaten something that caused a further imbalance possibly, and then you're craving more food. And that's a big problem with overeating. Is just your body needs something, and not knowing what it needs makes us eat something and then say that's not it, and then go look for something else, right? So some of the things that we want to do is reduce our food cravings. So interestingly enough, there are some odors that do that. Eucalyptus oil actually reduces food cravings. Now, it's not that you're not going to be hungry. It reduces certain types of food cravings. So try that next time you're having a big craving. Try just smelling some eucalyptus and see if the craving passes, if it's not time to eat or something like that. Or if you're craving something that is probably not a good idea. Now aromatherapy is all about kind of developing better habits. So we can train our brains to respond however we want, and we can train them with oils. So if you want to teach your body things, like if you have a certain scent that you use when you have a certain food, so a healthy food. So let's make a conscious decision here and say, okay, I'm going to eat something really healthy. I'm going to go grab a salad. I'm going to eat this salad. And every time I eat salad, I'm going to diffuse an oil, okay, and pick what oil you want to diffuse. And I'm going to give you some ideas, because these are ones that just help with overall food cravings. But if you do that on a regular basis, what will happen is then you can diffuse that oil and it'll solve that craving without eating the salad, let's say. So you can trick your brain. We trick our brains all the time. So this is another way that we can trick our brains. So here's some of the ones that are used also for cravings. So peppermint. Peppermint oil is good for people who are emotional stress eaters. So those are the people that when you are dealing with serious emotions, you eat. We all know who, if we're one of those people, we know it. And it's peppermint oil that we want to use. That minty aroma helps you evade those cravings. They've done clinical research. People that sniffed peppermint throughout the day had decreased appetites, decreased hunger cravings, and consumed fewer calories. So you can add it to your aromatherapy inhaler and smell when we're stressed. You can always put essential oils on a cotton ball and smell a cotton ball throughout the day if you want. That's another way to do it. And then another one that we know is good is jasmine. So jasmine helps with a frazzled mind. So that's a hard one to explain, but we've all been through it. When some days you just are frazzled, and that's how we explain it too. We use that word, frazzled. I just feel like my brain is frazzled, right? So its aroma has been shown to effectively tame chocolate cravings as well. So when you have a frazzled mind, if you're trying to boost your spirits, if you're craving your chocolates, Jasmine for chocolate cravings. Okay, now I'm going to have to get my jasmine out because that's the one I'm having trouble with. And my husband got me this wonderful See's candy for Valentine's Day, and I've eaten like half the box. I'm trying really hard not to eat the rest, like at one sitting, because I tend to do that. So that jasmine is one. You know, we have the Touch Blend in jasmine, and you can smell it right from the bottle, or you can just put a little bit on your wrist, and you could even add Lang Ylang to it. If you like the smell of Lang Ylang, that works well with jasmine. Okay, and then we have grapefruit. Now, grapefruit I've done some extra research on. So grapefruit oil is really great to diffuse, to suppress appetite. So that is kind of my go-to, and I have it right by my bed because I diffuse that one often during the daytime, because that will help me not crave foods and not want to eat all the time. Okay, so especially when we crave foods, when we're feeling kind of bored, we're feeling down, and when you're feeling bored and you turn on the TV, what do? We reach for the chips, things like that. If you're eating just because you are bored and you want to do something, eat plain popcorn. Salt is okay, but no butter, because that will not, that's not going to make you gain weight, and it's going to solve that because you really don't need the food. Your body isn't craving the food. You just want the action. You just want to sit there and nibble on something while you're watching TV. So yes, it tastes better with the butter, but if you're just eating it because you're just bored, then forget the butter and just eat it because you're bored. You can eat it other times with the butter when you are eating it for a purpose. But a lot of times we just do that when we're bored. So I actually add the grapefruit to a diffuser. That's how I use it. I also I do put it in my water sometimes because I don't always like lemon in my water. So I put grapefruit in my water. I also use wild orange in my water. So I kind of intersperse them. I know they always say lemon in water is great for weight loss, but any of your fruit oils are fine. So if you want to try some other oils, if you get bored of lemon, or if it bothers, like for me, it bothers my lips. I don't do well with lemon in my water. For some reason, my lips do not react well to that. So I use things like wild orange. I'll even use bergamot sometimes, and I'll use grapefruit in my water. So any of those are fine that you can put in your water, but you can diffuse the grapefruit for the cravings. Now, here's one you probably don't know about or haven't thought about. It's black pepper. So we have black pepper oil. And one of the things that, because it's got a fiery aroma and it's an energizing like stimulator, it'll take your mind off of candy. So they did studies, to try to use it to help with candy type sugar cravings. But another one which is interesting is the inhalation of black pepper decreases nicotine cravings. So that's huge. If you know anybody who's trying to kick smoking, they just need help a lot of times. And being able to use an oil to help you kick those habits and not crave that nicotine is wonderful. So, and that's something usually it's diffused, or you add it to a cotton ball because you may not want to feel like that you might not want to diffuse black peppers throughout the day because that's kind of weird, right? So what you can do is you put it on a cotton ball and then you just smell that every time you start having a need for something like nicotine or candy. Then you pull out your cotton ball and let that get in there, and then you can condition your mind to move along to the next thing and skip that cigarette or skip that candy at that time. And then we have vanilla. Now, vanilla is not actually an essential oil. It's a CO2 extract. So it's a little bit different. And you've seen vanilla is an ingredient in some of the doTERRA products, right? And vanilla is also something, you have vanilla extract probably in your cabinets, in your kitchen. And it's nice because it has it's a sweet aroma. It's kind of exotic. It's kind of comforting. And you'd think it would make you crave dessert, right? Because it's in a lot of our desserts. But they found out that people who smell vanilla when they're hungry for a snack reported that they had reduced sweet cravings and lost weight over the span of a month. So you can add vanilla. I know this seems weird, but you can add vanilla to any of your essential oils and make your own fragrance. So you can use your vanilla extract in your oils, in your blends that you make yourself, or in your, if you're using, the lotion or something like that, you can add vanilla to that. Very simple, and you don't need to add much. It's very strong. And then we have one of the newer oils that doTERRA has is neroli. And neroli is it's kind of, I don't know if you guys have smelled it. It's kind of, I think it has this kind of a citrus smell to it, and then kind of like a little flowery too. And it's really good for heavy sadness. So when you're really just depressed or you're sad because something, has happened, you've lost somebody, whatever, it helps us to kind of to break up with our favorite food that we would normally be using for that, because the neroli actually reduces anxiety as it's mediated by the brain's serotonin receptors. So that is something, to reduce our anxiety level without having to reach for our food. Because foods, a lot of times we have foods, same thing. We're trying to reduce our anxiety, or we're trying to not feel as sad. We get indulgent. And one of the things that remember when you're using this is, if you keep using things like the neroli, if you keep using it regularly, it allows your brain to associate the aroma and that ritual with the recognition to seek a healthier option when you want to eat. So remember, when you're using essential oils, you can train these essential oils to have a good effect on you, just by the association. Because we do a lot of things just out of association. A lot of things we do are out of habit, out of association. And if you start associating the oils with good things, then you're going to crave those good things. So one of the keys to do this is to take some of your essential oils and actually put a drop on your food. Make it a part of your day. Find a food that you're eating, and it may be something simple like a drop of black pepper oil might be good in your salad. Spice it up a little bit, or on your chicken. Drop of rosemary on your chicken. So you get, you start using these oils in with the foods the healthy options that you're eating. Don't do it on your unhealthy options. Do it on your healthy options, and that will kind of train your brain to crave those healthier options, because we do crave the oils too. I don't know if you experience that, but I crave oils like crazy. Really do absolutely love them. So do we have any questions now about this? No? Okay. Feel like we learned something? A little bit about cravings and stuff like that. So, we all are, we're always battling weight management, whether we're overweight or the weight's distributed not quite the way we want or whatever. We all battle this at some point in our lives. And, I was lucky. I was always thin growing up, but as I get older, it gets harder and harder. It becomes a challenge. It becomes a fight. And I'm constantly having to fight, those extra few pounds that just really want to sit on the middle, because that's what happens when we get older. Our hormones change. And as women, we tend to carry our weight in our middle as we age. And that starts in the 30s sometime, right? In the 30s is when it actually begins. And they've done studies on these, and then it just continues on. And, if that process is left unchecked, then of course we gain more and more weight, and then it gets harder and harder to get back to where we want to be. So we can use the oils to help us attain those goals. And we can, learn about why we're having the cravings. So I want everybody just to be more conscious, just more conscious of those cravings that you're having, more conscious of when you have a craving, what might your body actually be telling you. And make sure you sip your water throughout the day. Just regularly sip your water so that you don't crave those dry, crunchy snacks like chips, because that's the most evil thing. I mean, yeah, they taste delicious and everything, and they are fun to eat, and they're crunchy, and there's all wonderful things about chips, of course. But if we can try not to have them too often, we'll do a lot better, I think, in our overall goals to be healthy. Okay. So I'm going to let everybody go. If you are a builder with me, check the Facebook page for building, because I put some things on there recently. And then if you're not a builder and you want to go to the my certified essential oils, the certified essential oils with doTERRA page, I posted a chart there, which is probably interesting. It tells you about the chemical components that are in essential oils and what studies have been done on what species. So some have been done on humans, some have been done on mice, and it gives you that information. I found it just interesting. It was part of Dr. Z's book. So I have received Dr. Z's oil and chemistry book that I bought when I bought his program. So I bought the one with the book and everything. And I'm going to start sharing pieces of that with you on my various pages, so that you can, learn the same information that I'm also learning. And hopefully you'll find that helpful. Okay, guys? Yay?
I'll send you.
Jenny?
Yeah.
Jenny, this is Bonnie. I have one quick question.
Sure.
The call last night, have you posted that video?
I did, and that would be on the builders page because that was a building call. So I did, and I just posted it like half an hour before this started. So you might not have seen it yet.
Okay.
I was trying to
Okay,
get it
great. I'll go
uploaded.
find it.
It took me a long time. I have to upload it from Zoom, and then I have to upload it to Facebook. So it takes a while, but I got it on there. Let me know if you can't find
Okay,
it.
great.
Okay. Anything
Thanks.
else?
Yeah, Jenny, I'll send you that 10 in your PayPal for the roller balls.
Okay, I'll send it all out tomorrow. I'm sorry, I meant to send that all out today. The other
That's
ones, I'm
fine.
glad I didn't. I'll send the rollerballs with it. No shipping on that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll go and get those out right now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
thank
have
you
fun
so
making stuff.
much.
And when you make things, take pictures and post them online. I mean, that's just it's a great
gonna.
conversation piece.
I should take pictures of all the water. I do drink a lot of water with the lemon, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? I haven't heard anybody mention this benefit, but my osteoarthritis has improved. I'm no longer on pain pills, and all I've changed was taking the lemon oil in that water every day.
That
Like
was
maybe
it?
a total of 10 to 12 drops. So I don't know if it's anti-inflammatory or what, but
Yeah, well, it cleans out your intestines, which is one. And if you're drinking water regularly, you may find that you didn't drink as much water when it didn't have anything in it, because a lot of times people the slightest bit of dehydration can throw your body completely out of whack. It's just amazing how much something so simple like water can do for you. And if putting a little lemon and being more conscious of drinking water, because I've gone whole days without drinking a single glass of water, and I don't realize that until at night when I'm all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. And then I think back, I'm like, I drink no water today. I mean, I can't imagine I could even get enough water out of my foods. And so I must be dehydrated. And that just sends me into whirlwind of, I just did a really bad thing, and I'll get headaches and everything from it.
And you live in a warm climate where here it's cold right now. So
yep. Well, when you're cold, you don't crave water very much. So your tendency to get dehydrated is high. And if you're in a dry, cold climate, it's even worse. And you don't feel the sensation to drink water, though. That's the problem. You don't know that you need water because your body doesn't tell you until it's serious. Unfortunately, we don't get a whole lot of notice about that. So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. You might want to say something on your page about that.
I have said it to different people, that, well, this really helped me with that. That was one benefit that I've noticed. And like I said, with the oregano oil too, for sore throat, in the capsule, that really helps.
Yeah.
How much of that can you take though? I know you shouldn't take too much.
The oregano?
Yes.
Yeah, you can take you take a couple drops in your capsule several times a day, but what you want to do is limit that to about 10 days. After 10 days, you really need a break from oregano because it does act as more of a natural antibiotic. And this is like I'm taking the oregano because I'm still getting over this, but I've also take golden seal root, and it's the same thing. I take the oregano and the On Guard and the golden seal, and because this is also a natural antibiotic of some sort. You don't take it more than a few days at a time like that. I usually take it for about 5 days. Oregano, they said usually about 10 days is fine, and then give your body a break. So
the On Guard too. I like that.
And On Guard you can take regularly, and I don't know that there's any other oil that we've actually been cautioned about taking consistently. It's just oregano. That's the one oil that I know that doctors have said that one you need to have a break from.
Is there any, though, that would increase your blood pressure that you should be careful with?
Yes. I'm trying to remember what they are because there's actually a few of them. Because I've actually followed up with them because I wanted to increase my blood pressure because I tend to have really low blood pressure, which sometimes I can faint and stuff like that. So you want to look up. Have you tried looking on the Droply app and just look for essential oils to increase blood pressure?
Okay. Yeah, I want to decrease it.
Oh, you want to decrease blood pressure. Oh, okay. So that's a little different. Yeah, and that's the norm. So those are usually easy to find. So like if I were to go in on a Google here right now and I go to Dr. Axe or Dr. Z, those are the two that I know are actual, they're gurus when it comes to essential oils. They study them, and they give us information about them. So the ones that they say right here for decreasing blood pressure, they talk about, now I love Dr. Axe because he doesn't just do essential oils. He tells you what vitamins you might need, what foods you should be avoiding, what foods you should be increasing. And if it requires exercise, certain things do. But when you are on, when you have a high blood pressure problem, they say that you want to eat a lot of high fiber foods. So vegetables, fruits and seeds, right? And a lot of people don't eat seeds, and seeds are really important for a lot of different things. It does. And again, they always say, excess salt consumption raises blood pressure. But that doesn't mean you have to go on like a super low salt. They're saying excess salt consumption. What you want is regular salt consumption. Do not limit yourself with salt because it'll set yourself, up with some other problems.
Yes.
You want high potassium foods. So there's like your melons, avocados, bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want your omega-3s. So omega-3s in food you can get from grass-fed beef. Okay, so remember, if you're not eating grass-fed beef that is not grass-fed it's garbage. It's so bad. I keep finding out over and over again. It's just bad. Try to get grass-fed beef if you can. Wild-caught salmon, chia, flax seeds, those all reduce inflammation. Right. And then, of course, the Lifelong Vitality Pack with doTERRA has the omega-3s as part of that whole thing. So you really should be taking the omega-3s there to make sure you get your omega-3s. You'll find that will balance you out better than anything if you just take those on a regular basis.
I just started taking the women's.
Interestingly enough, one of the foods that helps reduce blood pressure is actually dark chocolate.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that nice? And excuse me, dark chocolate at least, but you got to be careful of the high sugar content. So stay with your darker chocolates. But then you have garlic, of course, because it relaxes your smooth muscles. So garlic. You got your spinach, sunflower seeds, tomatoes, because the lycopene in tomatoes would help.
Yeah, we gotta wait a few months for those around here.
Yeah, unfortunately. And then you got broccoli.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And broccoli is really good kind of overall at maintaining good, healthy blood sugar levels, both high and low levels, just kind of keep your blood pressure, your blood levels, blood sugar levels stable. Broccoli is a really good one for that. And most people will eat broccoli. I know with butter I will. With cheese even more, right? And then, of course, your melons, because they're rich in potassium, especially like cantaloupe and watermelon. Now, the things that you want to avoid, things with high sodium. So you're talking about really high sodium. You're talking about like pickles and olives and heavily processed foods and canned foods. You're not talking about things just with salt on them. You still get to have salt on your meat. You can still have salt on your steaks. You don't have to go crazy, not having any salt, because that's going to hurt you.
We don't eat a lot of that processed stuff. We really don't.
And that's good. And a lot of these things too are fine. Like you can have pickles if they're processed differently. Like if you get some of the natural pickles, they aren't as high in the salt content, the artificial salt content really. And then of course, caffeine increases blood pressure. So you want to avoid your caffeine, although the chocolate is fine. So that's a smaller amount of caffeine. And interestingly enough, the caffeine in chocolate reacts so differently in the human body than coffee does. It's very interesting how that works. And then, of course, definitely alcohol, because that can really just throw that into a tailspin. But yeah, those are some of those oils there. But yeah, when you're looking for something, guys, look on Droply. That's why I gave you all the app. And if you are on my team and you didn't get the Droply app, let me know. I'll make sure you get it. I give that to everybody on my team. It usually costs money, but I give it to you guys because I want you to have it. I want you to use it. And then if you can't find it there, go on a search online. And what I do when I search, if I'm looking, like when I was doing high blood pressure, I'll do decrease blood pressure essential oils. So whatever I'm trying to do, get rid of the canker sore essential oils. And I just look at that, and then I go to Dr. Axe's. His almost always shows up in the first page there. It's Dr. Axe. And he's got something on everything. And then Dr. Z also has information on each of those things as well. So those are the sources I like to look at what they recommend, because they've done a lot of the research that I don't want to have to redo. So they've already done that research, and that I find that really helpful. So look at those when you're looking for. Okay, guys, I'm gonna let you guys go. Appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next week. I've already posted what we're doing next week. What was it? I know somebody signed up for it. I forgot what it was, but we're doing another one, a different one next week. So we'll keep learning. Different parts of our bodies and different things that we all deal with, and how to find solutions with essential oils and with lifestyle changes. This is what we're all trying to do. And again, I encourage you, if you're trying to make a change because you want to, I'm going to say that probably almost everybody, by the time we reach the age of 30 wants to lose some weight, right? So, when we're looking at these kinds of things, we're looking at food cravings, we're trying to figure out what to do. Don't try to change everything overnight. It's not going to happen. Make your changes little by little, and the weight
loss. A little at a time.
What?
Because if you try to do it all at once, you'll
It'll
walk
fail.
away from it.
Yeah, it's just too hard. I mean, even something simple like say, you know what? Every day in the afternoon, I crave a snack. So what I'm going to do is this week, you set yourself some short-term goals. This week, every time I crave that snack, I'm going to go into the kitchen. I'm going to grab myself an apple or an orange or something else, a piece of fruit. Okay, and then I'm going to see if that gets rid of that craving. So find those substitutes and just incorporate them for a week, because we can do anything for a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about forever, like they tell people a lot of times, when you have medical issues, they'll say, oh, yeah, you can't do this. It's like, ever? I mean, yeah, it'd be hard to give up something ever. If somebody said I had to give up chocolate for the rest of my life, I'd be extremely depressed. Then I need oils for that too. So I wouldn't want to do that. But if you said, you know what, just give up chocolate for a week, I can do that. I can make a mental note to myself and say, okay, I'm going to just give up chocolate this week. And that's why New Year's resolutions a lot of times fail, because we're making a change like forever, because we're committing to that for a whole year. And that's a really hard thing to do. So just pick one thing and then stick with that. And then after you've incorporated that into your habits, because we do a lot of things out of habit. I mean, I snack at night out of habit. That's why I do it. And I know it's not healthy. And I have to try to avoid doing that. And the only way I can avoid doing that is to make sure I eat healthier earlier in the day, so they don't all of a sudden crave all the stuff at night. So that's what we need. That's what we need to do. And so just make one change. So I'm going to challenge each of you to make a change. And then I'm going to further challenge you guys to post it. Make a change, do it for a week, and then post what that change was and if you were able to stick with it for a whole week. So now I'm going to give you some accountability. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing in my own life, and I'm going to post that too. So we're all playing this game. But by helping each other, encouraging each other, and posting our successes and failures, that's going to help each of us succeed. One of the things I think I'm going to do going forward, because I'm getting, we have a lot of people in our group and a lot of activity. I know you guys all want to learn stuff. I am going to start putting out files onto the pages that are going to be single-page worksheets. I'm going to start giving you guys worksheets where you get to write stuff down. So I'm going to challenge you to do certain things or just to learn certain things. And then I will be incorporating this into a second level oil camp. Has everybody here been to our free oil camp yet? Barbara?
No, I can't. No. And I was going to sign up, but I wasn't sure if it was already videotaped because I work all day. So
Okay,
I couldn't.
The way oil camp works, you can sign up now. They still have room in the current oil camp. It started Tuesday. And when you miss a day, you can just make it up the next day. It's anytime during the day you want to go. It takes you about 20 minutes. Bonnie's actually been a coach at oil camp before. And you just have to go in and just 20 minutes of your time, go in and do the challenges for that day.
You can do it any time then. It doesn't.
Time. And if you miss a whole day,
you could start today if you wanted. We're 2 days in. And that would be great. And you can go back and make up the 2 days that you've missed. And still qualify for the grand prize. Every day that you participate, as long as you participate before midnight Mountain Time, you're entered into a daily drawing. And then anybody that has done 100% participation, even if you start late, you go back and do those days, you'll be entered into a great big drawing. And they give really nice gifts. So, I mean, it's worth, not only is it worth your education, but it's worth your time. You get rewarded for your time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not only with knowledge, but with possible gifts.
Yep. It doesn't take long. So each day they post 4 things, and a lot of the things are just go watch this video and make a comment, or try this meal and make a comment. It's really simple.
Very, very simple. I'm a coach this session, and I'll be a coach the next session.
You will. Okay, so Barbara, if you want to get in there, and anybody else, if you're on my team, you can get in there, or if you're on Stephanie's team, Stephanie Scoville, she's the one who manages the oil camp. Go ahead and, so Barbara, if you want to sign up, and since Bonnie's coaching, that's awesome, so you'll see her there. But it's a great experience, and I'm working on a second level oil camp now for people. A lot of people love oil camp, and they really want to kind of go past those first 10 basic oils, because that's what they primarily discuss is the first 10 oils. And you discuss the lifelong vitality pack in that camp, right?
Yeah, I believe we touch on it.
Yeah.
We touch on everything that is in the family essential kit. So those 10 oils,
Yep.
They ask that you have those 10 oils
Mhm.
participate if you're going to participate in camp.
Yeah. Ideally,
So-
if you have most of them, you can probably get by, just make sure you watch the videos and learn about them. But you do want to have some oils. You don't want to just go in there with no oils because it just won't be nearly as effective.
Right.
You want to get the full experience.
Well, y'all, I need to say goodnight because I've got
Okay.
another call. But
Okay,
thanks so
bye,
much.
Bonnie, and bye, all. I'm going to let everybody go now.
Bye, y'all.
So, yeah, Barbara, go
Bye.
get signed up and start it up.
I'll
You'll love
try.
it.
I've got a busy weekend coming up, so it's like,
Yeah,
but I'll check it out. I
if you
promise.
can't do the 15 minutes day, they'll do another one. It'll start, this one started Tuesday, so the one starts every 2 weeks. There'll be another one in 2 weeks.
Oh, until you know what, things might settle down a bit by then. I can, yeah.
Then you can just sign up for that one then, and Bonnie will be there again too, it sounds like. So that's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, bye
Thank you for
all.
the
I'm gonna let everybody go. I'm gonna go post this, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye all.
Bye. Bye. Bye.